All right, all my fellow AV obsessed people. Something I want to do on this channel that's a little bit different than what I usually do is every once in a while I want to try to cover something a little different, weird, not necessarily like the newest products that are always coming out, because that's what everybody does, is just reviews like all the new speakers as they come out. But today I am going to be showing off a system that I just picked up at Scott Walker Audio in Anaheim, California. So story time, I went there just to check out the store, hadn't been there before and heard good things, and went into the store and was looking at all the, the new stuff that they have. And I saw this really interesting subwoofer that kind of looked like an end table. And I asked the guy what was that, and he told me that it's like this weird system that this dude dropped off that he didn't even really want at the store. And I kind of like just didn't really think much of it at first when he said that. And, we moved along looking at all this other stuff. And the dude, Colby Walker, he was like just super cool, like very, very talkative, like almost too talkative. Like he just is going on and on and on forever. Like a couple of people said that the people at that store were kind of hoity-toity and they wouldn't want to talk to you, but they were completely wrong, or at least Colby Walker wasn't like that. Like he was a pretty awesome guy. Showed us a lot of really cool stuff. And then like at the end, when we were probably there for like an hour, at the end of it, I asked him about that system again, that weird looking subwoofer came with. And he told me that it's by M Designs, and it was something that, somebody wanted to trade in, and he said that he didn't really want it. But then the guy dropped it off anyways when he wasn't there, and one of the other employees was there, and he just dropped it off because he like needed to get rid of it because they were moving. And like his wife said that he wasn't allowed to set up this crazy system that you see kind of surrounding my TV here in their new house. And so it's not even the kind of stuff that they usually sell, because they focus primarily or pretty much exclusively on high-end 2-channel equipment. So it really wasn't a fit for their store, and their store is too small for like the amount of business they do, it seems like. So he was just basically like, if you want it, like just make me an offer. And I just like offered him $500, and he said sold. And so we loaded it up in the car and took it home, even, without me testing it. Like it looked so out there and interesting that I decided that I was going to take it home. So that's all set up here now. I've been working on setting it up properly for the past couple of days. And yeah, it's interesting. So it's called the M Designs Eleganza Slimline surround sound system, or home theater system. And this is a 5.1 system. It's almost a 5.3 system though. I'll get into that in a little bit. It's by M Designs, which apparently was a subsidiary of Monster Cable, company that I don't think that they really exist anymore. And if they do, they're like not really like producing a lot of stuff that people know about anymore. But back in like the early 2000s up until like maybe the early teens, they were kind of where AudioQuest is now, which is actually kind of interesting because AudioQuest just acquired Golden Ear. So they almost seem like they're following the exact same path, how they were making just cables, and then they made speakers, and then they went out of business. We'll see if the same thing happens to AudioQuest. But it's a really interesting system. I'll probably stop the video here for a second. So we're going handheld mode now, just so I can kind of give you a tour around these ridiculous speakers. So each one of these towers is a little over 6 feet tall and primarily made out of aluminum. There's aluminum around the side, but then there's this piece right here that I'm assuming is formed like MDF with what they say is a real cherry veneer on it. But then most of the back of the cabinet is solid aluminum with the slots in it like that. It's really interesting design. And what you got across the front here, these are crazy line source speakers. There are 32 of these 1-inch tweeters. And then you've got one 3/4 inch, what they're calling a super tweeter, and then a dozen of these 3.5 inch aluminum cone mid woofers. And so there's a tower like that on each side. So those are your front mains, and they're actually pretty good for 2-channel music as well as movies. I've been listening to them for a few days now. And then each one of these towers, they're kind of 3-part towers. So there's the main tower, like line source speaker. Then you've got a nice 10-inch, 250 watt powered sub. And then there's this base, which this is something that I'm gonna clean up before I try to resell these, because I think this base is made out of solid iron and it's rusted a little bit. So I'm gonna get some like nice fine grit sandpaper and like flat black spray paint and respray that so it doesn't look so old and worn out. But these front towers alone, because of the fact that they've got that 10-inch sub there and so many mids and high frequency drivers, they sound good. Like, it puts out a pretty big sound stage, pretty awesome imaging. They're not quite as detailed as the Cantons that I'm used to, like that I have as my like reference speakers, but they're pretty awesome. So that's the main tower there. And then there are 3 of these speakers. They're all exactly the same. There's going to be the surround ones back in the back of the room too. So there's one there and there's one there. Same exact thing as the center channel, just the center channel is laying on its side. So it's got 4 of the 3.5 inch mid woofers, and then 8 of those 1-inch tweeters, and then that one 3/4 inch super tweeter in the middle. Made of the exact same construction. It's just that is a 36-inch version and that is a 72-inch version. Oh yeah. And also, while doing research about these speakers, I found out that they had these in a 6-foot model, which is this, and they also had a 7-foot model, which is crazy. And then like the main event of this system, so to speak, is the subwoofer. So this is a 12-inch 500 watt sub, which doesn't sound like it's that crazy, but this cabinet, it's 23 inches from side to side. It's 13 inches deep and it's 28 inches high. It's almost exactly as tall as my Salamander Designs TV cabinet there. And this thing can play loud and it doesn't sound boomy. Like, it sounds pretty clean. Like, it almost feels like Monster Cable here, or M Designs, they actually were doing a pretty good job, especially with the subwoofer. And it's got this like interesting design with this like kind of like bullet shaped dust cap that sticks out in the middle. And it's a good sturdy 12-inch aluminum cone that's ported. And the finish is nice too. It's got that same cherry finish that they have on the sides of the main towers. This thing is a beast, 113 pounds. But the crazy part is they made finger right in the screen there. They made a bigger version of the subwoofer. This is called the Bella 1200. They made another one called the Godfather 1500 subwoofer. And that thing, I'm actually glad that I didn't get that thing, because it is absurd. Like, it was 222 pounds, designed to go in a corner. So imagine I didn't have a door here, and there's a subwoofer that would fit in the corner and curve like a quarter of a circle, and from the corner to the front of that curve would be 33 inches. And that was a 1,000 watt 15-inch subwoofer that weighed 222 pounds. So like, if you got the big system version of this, because this is the Eleganza 5.1. They had the Eleganza 6.1, where you got another one of these surround speakers like this, and then you got the bigger, the 15-inch Godfather subwoofer. And apparently the MSRP on that system would have been $20,000 when this system was new. So just absolutely insane. I think I'm gonna cut the video right here, and then I'm gonna set up my microphones in a stereo array, and I'm probably gonna play some of the Dolby Atmos demos that you can do on the Dolby PC app. And I mean, it's not gonna be like some great sound demo. I haven't got some crazy high-end microphones. I got like the Rode mics that are made for hooking up with a phone, so. But I'm gonna set it up in stereo and we'll see how good that sounds. I've got those microphones set up in stereo mode, and I'm going to walk from one side of the room to the other first, just to test it out. And then I'm gonna play a Dolby Atmos demo here.
This is Dolby Atmos, the world's first object-based cinematic audio. With powerful moving audio that transcends from channels to moving around you with pinpoint accuracy. Whether the soundscape sits the mood of a scene,
Whoa! What is this place? Come on, you guys, let's go!
or captures the full extent
Do you want to know my secret?
of nature's fury.
So I think I'm gonna skip this one because it'll probably get my video copyright striked. But the Atmos Leaf demo was pretty cool. And this is essentially the entire system just added for Definitive Technology Pro Monitor 1000 speakers that I have mounted up close to the ceiling, pointing like angled down a little bit for Atmos height effects. Which, when I resell this system, those will not be included. And then we're going to do the Dolby Amaze demo, which anybody who is into hi-fi has probably heard this demo before. So I think that's going to be the last Dolby Atmos demo that we're going to do. So I'm just going to cut the video here and set the chair back up and talk about my final thoughts about this crazy, weird line array system that I picked up. So what do I think of this monster cable, which just sounds so weird to say? Monster cable, M Design, Eleganza, Slimline 5.1 home theater system. I think it's really freaking cool. Like surprisingly good for the age. I mean, it did cost a lot of money when it was new, so I mean, it should sound good even if it is getting older. But yeah, I think it's too bad that that Monster as a brand, they couldn't like keep their association separate a little bit better from this speaker system, because like when they came out with the speaker system, the Monster cable name was already in the trash. Like nobody really had any respect for that brand anymore. So when these came out, from like the research that I was doing online, you know, there were people talking about how these came out at Cedia in like, I think 2005. And there were people who just were like, ugh, Monster cable. No, I'm not going to even bother to listen to that system. And that's too bad, because it's a really cool system. If I can imagine that if this was successful as far as like, you know, marketing and sales wise, if this would have been a successful system from Monster Cable, then like if they could have continued to iterate on this kind of a system and refine it and modernize it using more modern drivers and materials, and you know, producing it, it would be like a super badass system these days. I mean, as it is, it's probably better than what 90% of people have in their homes. It's definitely better than any soundbar in existence. It's obviously bigger and more obtrusive than that. It takes a little bit more to set up, but yeah, it's neat. It doesn't have a huge footprint in the room. Like that's one of the really interesting things about it. Like these towers are so slim, and the subwoofer boxes, you know, they basically dock onto the base, the same base that holds up the towers, and so it's all like one big thing. Like it's a 3-piece part, like system basically for each tower, but it doesn't take up any more room than a like standard tower speaker. But you're getting, what was it, 32 tweeters, 1 super tweeter, 12 mid-range drivers, and then a 10-inch 250-watt subwoofer, and you're getting that on each side of your room. It's crazy. Not to mention, you know, the 3-foot surrounds and center channel that have each 4 mid-range drivers and 8 tweeters and 1 super tweeter for each one of those, in addition to the towers. Like, and then that big crazy subwoofer. Like it's a really cool system, and it's too bad that they couldn't have stuck around and to continue iterating on it. And it's too bad that it doesn't seem like anybody in like the reasonable realm of like the reasonable cost realm for audio is making line source stuff anymore. There's only 2 line source home theater speakers that I can think of that exist right now, and they're made by Macintosh and Wisdom Audio. Like, so you're looking at like, I believe at a minimum from Wisdom Audio, like 20 grand for a speaker, a line array speaker, and then the Macintosh line array speakers, or line source, because there is a difference between line source and line array. But yeah, the Macintosh line source speakers are $70,000 for the pair. So like they're, you know, way more expensive than what 99.9% of people can afford to actually buy and put in their homes. So it's too bad that nobody else is really doing this line array stuff anymore, because line array does have some really interesting benefits over a typical point source speaker. A line array has half of the like decibel loss per meter than a typical point source speaker. So a point source speaker every time you get an additional meter away from that speaker, you're losing 3 decibels of volume. But a line source like this, every time you get a meter away from the speaker, you're only losing 1.5 decibels. So that's a really interesting, like, cool advantage of a line source, because it fills a room more evenly with sound. You're not getting these essentially hot spots of sound. So if somebody is sitting, you know, in what a lot of people call the mother-in-law chair, like off to the side, and they're closer to this tower or that surround, they're not going to be getting nearly as much of a, it's not going to be like blowing them out of their seat, like way louder hearing those two versus the two that are further away from them. It's going to be a more even distribution of audio, which is really cool. So it's too bad that this type of system isn't really being made anymore. And yeah, if Monster could have kept their name in good standing and this system, or, you know, been able to completely disassociate their name from this system, then like this could have been a really cool concept that continued to iterate and become better and better. And yeah, it's too bad that it's not like that. But what do I think of this system? I think it's awesome. And if I had the money where I had a house where I had a separate family room and living room, so I had a reason to have another full surround sound system, I would probably keep it. But I did buy it to flip it. Like, that was the intention. So I'm gonna just try to clean it up and make it look pretty. It already sounds really good. I don't really need to do anything to try to make it sound any better than it already does. And then I'm going to be listing it for sale on Facebook Market and eBay, and then probably also Audiogon, but maybe not right away. That's kind of like a last resort because I don't want to have to pay for a listing. So yeah, if you are in the like local, you know, Southern California, Orange County area, and you want like a really interesting, cool 5.1 home theater surround sound system, I mean, you're going to have to provide your own cabling and receiver, and the 4 Definitive Technology Pro Monitor 1000 speakers that I'm using as Atmos speakers are not going to be included, obviously. But yeah, basically speaker cable, some RCA cables to go from the receiver to those subs, and big long, because I think the best way to set this system up is to have that subwoofer in the back of the room, because you've already got a pair of subwoofers in the front of the room. So a big long RCA cable to go around the room, you'll need those kinds of things. But yeah, I'm not shipping this system because it's, you know, 113 pound subwoofer there, pair of 46 pound subwoofers up front here, like 66 pound towers, I believe, and 76 pound like bases for those things to set to like dock onto. There's no way I could obviously ship this system. So if you're interested in this system, it'll probably be up for sale in, you know, a week, 2 at the most. And yeah, this was a really cool find, and I'm glad that I stopped in at Scott Walker Audio the other day. Yeah, and then so keep tuned to this channel. I'm gonna get back to the stuff that I talked about in my last couple videos, how I'm gonna do the ultimate battle of the you know, mid-priced bookshelf horn speakers, the battle between the Klipsch RP600M Mark IIs versus the JBL Studio 630 bookshelf speakers. That video is probably coming next because I still haven't heard anything from ELAC, whether they're going to be sending me the speakers early. I mean, probably not at this point. And then the Martin Logan ones after that. I had a commenter tell me that I should review the Emotiva bookshelf speakers with the 6.5-inch woofer and the AMT tweeter. They said that the build quality of the Emotivas is a lot higher than the Martin Logans. I doubt that, but I guess maybe I'll check that out eventually as well. So if you're interested in stuff like this and stuff like the, you know, the new speakers that I'm reviewing as they come out and stuff like that too, get subscribed, share the video around. If you know somebody who might be interested in a weird 5.1 home theater system like this, share this video with them. And until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.